I've got some Shakespeare for you today, or tonight, or, whenever you're watching this. Titus is Julie Taymor's adaptation of Titus Andronicus, which is probably Shakespeare's least liked and most misunderstood play, in my opinion anyway. T.S. Eliot called it the worst play ever written, and when I studied it in university, the teachers were so reluctant to take it seriously that we were invited to consider the idea that it was supposed to be a parody. It's the violence, I think, that turns people off. Shakespeare's plays are full of violence, of course, but it's never as intense as it is in Titus Andronicus. There's a moment in the play when the protagonist's daughter is raped, and then the rapists cut off her hands and cut out her tongue so she can't tell anyone what happened. Andronicus then kills the two rapists and feeds them to their mother, whose other son he's already had killed as a sacrifice. Spoiler alert, obviously, but to be honest, if you're worried about spoilers for a 600-year-old play, you've got other problems. So it's a fucked up play, but it's also a bloody good one, no pun intended. As anyone who's ever seen her version of The Tempest knows, Julie Taymor is the director when it comes to putting Shakespeare on screen. On top of that, you've got a cast including the fantastic Jessica Lange of American Horror Story fame, Anthony Hopkins, and Alan Cummings in a rare good performance. I normally find him incredibly irritating, but he's really good in there, Titus. So, to the story. Anthony Hopkins plays Titus Andronicus, a Roman general who captures Tamara, the queen of the Goths, along with her family. He sacrifices one of her sons, as apparently was traditional then. And as you can imagine, Tamara is not too pleased about that. I don't want to tell you too much of it, because part of the enjoyment is seeing the events unfold, but it is pretty horrific. Basically, the entire story revolves around Titus being sucked into this web of revenge where Tamara is getting revenge on him, and he's getting revenge for Tamara's revenge, and she gets revenge for him getting revenge on Tamara's revenge, and so on. It goes to some pretty dark places, I'm not going to lie, but that's what we're here for, isn't it? 31 Days of Horror and all that jazz. One thing I do have to mention with Titus is the staging. Like a lot of the films on this list, it is visually stunning. Just the costumes, the set design, there is so much attention to detail. And that enhances the horror of the more unpleasant scenes, because Julie Taymor has the visual sensibility to know exactly how to present something to make it appalling. It's really, really well done on a visual level. So, if this is such a good play, why has it been so maligned throughout history? Personally, I think it's down to the fact that Shakespeare, for most of the last few hundred years, has been seen as an intellectual's writer. Someone made a film today that had basically the same storyline as Titus Andronicus. It would be seen as what it really is, a really, really brutal, well-told story of revenge. But because Shakespeare wrote it, because it was written 500 years ago by someone who is widely regarded as the cornerstone of English literature, you've had snobby fuckers like T.S. Eliot, and I'm sorry, he was one of the greatest poets to ever live, but he was a snob, who hated it because they wanted their Shakespeare to be highbrow, and very, very genteel and academic, kind of plays you could take your mother to see. So when they went to the theatre and they saw a play full of rape and mutilation and cannibalism, they reacted out of shock, because that wasn't what they were expecting to see. It was, as an art critic once put it, the shock of the new. And that impression has coloured people's opinions of Titus Andronicus ever since, because, as I said earlier, even nowadays, people still regard it as a minor play. To be honest, if people praise it at all, it's just because it was Shakespeare and they feel they have to praise Shakespeare. But I genuinely think that this is not only a fantastic play, but that this adaptation is one of the best Shakespeare adaptations that I've seen, and hopefully you will too. So, yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another of my 31 Days of Horror.